Well, what about the attacking threat of Arsenal, something which we hyped up before the game, something which has been all over the internet, the newspapers, social media leading up to this because of their performance last week and the link-up play between Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, and you throw an Ozil into the mix as well?
The big difference is, last week, Arsenal played Everton. This week, Arsenal played Spurs. You cannot put Everton and Spurs in the same category at the moment. You really can't.
But did they have enough of a positive impact, even though it was Spurs? Maybe big-name players, a record signing, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
You have to also remember, it's going to take them time to really gel together. Maybe last week was a bit of a false dawn because it was against Everton. They were awful. They played really bad. Arsenal played well. You know, it takes time sometimes. These players still, yes, they're all good players, but they've still got to have that way of working. Tottenham are a very, very good side. They deny space. They close them down. You know, Aubameyang hasn't played an awful lot of football in the last month. So is he 100% match sharp? Probably not, or certainly not yet. So they are good. But what I think Arsenal's biggest problem is the two holding midfield players are of not enough quality, not enough energy, not enough legs. And we saw there, time and time again, Tottenham players running through the middle of the park. Vertonghen coming out from the back, running past Arsenal midfield players. Tottenham look, in the middle of the park, fitter, stronger and sharper.
Did Wenger make a mistake with his selection in the middle of the park here today? Do you think he could have gone with someone else?
It's easy in hindsight. Had Ramsey been fit, then Ramsey would have played it, and that could have made a big difference.
You know, Xhaka and El Neni were both substituted. So presumably they weren't playing well enough, weren't influencing the game. Dyer and Dembele played the full 90 minutes and dominated the two Arsenal players while they were on the park. You know, for me, El Neni and Xhaka cannot compare with Dembele and Dyer. They're not in the same league.
And then you put them into, are they as good as Matic and Pogba together? Nowhere near. You know, Fernandinho and the Man City midfield, nowhere near. You know, you go through the whole of the top six, and they're not. And the game is so often won and lost, you know, in that midfield battle. That's the key area.
What about Bakayoko?
But maybe that's why Chelsea are struggling. You know, when you look last year, they had Matic and Kante in the midfield. They were fantastic. You know, Chelsea are now fifth in the table. So there you go. You take out one of your most important areas of the pitch, you weaken that, Chelsea are struggling.
Interesting. So that whole area seems to have an analogy to where they are in the league.
Well, when you look at, because everything comes from your defensive base, and
the engine.
Solidity. Yeah, because your two centre backs, Tottenham's very, very strong. Two players in front of that, very, very strong. That's the area where most goals are scored, most goals are created. You know, in that sort of that magic square of those four players. From the penalty spot, 10 yards wide, 20 yards up the pitch, that area is the danger area. That's what you've got to protect, and that's what you've got to build your base from. If that's weak, other teams can get at you and play through you.
Which area should Arsenal look to fix in the summer? If you're saying that midfield holding area is so weak, but you've also criticised the defence.
Back six.
Back six.
I think you could argue it is the back six. You know, it's two holding midfield players, and maybe they don't always play two. Maybe there's one there, and a back four. But certainly in that centre of the back four, because I think Bellerin and Monreal would function better if their two central defenders were playing better. You know, Koscielny, I've liked him, but he's having a difficult time. Mustafi has disappointed. He hasn't been good enough. No, maybe he could be, but he hasn't been.
It sounds awful, but before that it was Per Mertesacker, who's World Cup winner, but couldn't quite cut it in the Premier League. You know, before they've struggled with that area for a long time. And if you don't have a solid defence, if you don't have a good defence, you don't win anything. Doesn't matter how many goals you score. And we've seen that in the past when Liverpool had that fantastic run under Brendan Rodgers. Brilliant going forward. You can't defend. Same time with Liverpool this time around.
From Arsenal's perspective, their last 9 Premier League games they've played, they haven't kept a clean sheet. So they concede too many.
Well, they haven't won, I'm thinking, 15, 16 games against the so-called Big Six away from home. But I already know that the moment I log onto my Facebook or I go onto YouTube, it's going to have a whole bunch of videos and status updates about Wenger out. What's your assessment on this? I know it's going to be all over the internet in the next hour or two, and over the course of the weekend.
Be careful what you wish for, because unless you have a very good replacement, and a strategy in place to replace Arsene Wenger. We saw what happened when Ferguson left Manchester United. It fell apart for a few years, and they're now only just about getting back to where they want to be, and although they're not playing the football that they want to do. Succession planning has started at Arsenal. How long that is going to take, might be a year, might be 2 years. You stick with Arsene Wenger for now. There is nobody out there that's going to come in as a direct replacement just yet and be as good. You know, so Arsenal fans, yes, I understand your frustrations, but it is a very much a be careful what you wish for.
Poison chalice, almost.
But, you know, Aubameyang's just joined the club, Mkhitaryan's just joined the club. I don't think either of them have signed for Wenger. I think they've signed for Arsenal Football Club. Because, you know, it's still a fantastic football club, but it's lost its way a little bit from the very top. And when I say the very top, I do mean that at board level, because they have given and allowed Wenger to have too much power. So either they need to pull Wenger into line, which I don't think they can do, or they need, I'm saying this now, which I haven't tended to do in the past, they need to get somebody else in there. And, you know, they pay great money at Arsenal, they've got great facilities, they've got great finances, and that's why players are going there.
They've just brought in a sporting director, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly.
From Dortmund.
And he helped to facilitate the
deal.
deal.
So that's the first time since David Dean was there that they've had somebody to play that role. The two owners of Arsenal, apart from they don't get on, they've never sacked a manager. They've never employed a manager. They're not huge football people, in all honesty. So they've got a manager that's been there 20-odd years, very, very successful, and they're going, well, if we get rid of this guy, OK, it's the first year they haven't got in the Champions League. If we get rid of him, we've seen what happened at Manchester United. We could be mid-table. We don't want that to happen. We'll take 4th, 5th, 6th. So I'll get a few players in, adjust it. But I think now you can see that succession planning is in place, that Wenger will not be there probably in 2 seasons' time.